all 100 of us, Republicans and Democrats, are concerned about our fellow citizens who are unemployed, struggling to pay their bills, and desperate to find meaningful work. We're concerned about the lack of opportunities in many of America's communities and the urgent need for more good-paying jobs across the United States. There are Hoosiers and citizens across this country hurting in this economy, and it seems like a new negative economic headline comes out every day. Consider some of the just recent discouraging reports that we've heard about. According to a new USA Today Pew Research poll, Americans by a 2-to-1 margin rate the nation's economic conditions as poor, and just 27% say there are enough jobs available where they live. Just a few days ago, the Commerce Department estimated that between January and March of this year, the U.S. economy grew just a shocking 0.1% in growth. That is 0.1%. 0.1% from no growth whatsoever, and just 0.2% for racking up a first quarter of recession. It takes 2 quarters back to back to qualify for recession, but we're in the recovery period from one of the deepest recessions since the World War II. And now we're into the 5th year, close to the 6th year, of a stagnant economy growing at half the rate it normally does after a recession, and Americans still out of work. In addition, the United States labor force participation rate is at its lowest point in 36 years. Not since the days of Jimmy Carter has such a low percentage of Americans been in the workforce. In fact, another shocking headline, over 800,000 Americans dropped out of the labor force last month alone. Let me say that again. 800,000 Americans dropped out of the labor force in just 1 month. 800,000, that's enough to fill Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, home of the Super Bowl 46 and Indianapolis Colts. That's enough to fill that a dozen times. Bureau of Labor Statistics calls many of these 800,000 discouraged workers. And they join over 1/3 of all working-age Americans no longer seeking work. So it's not just those that are earnestly out there every day trying to find a job, any job. This is a staggering number of people that have simply given up, simply saying, it's not worth the effort. I can't find a job. The jobs just simply aren't there. And even those young Americans, just starting their careers, just entering the workforce, are not entering at the traditional level, or the level which they're qualified for, or have trained for, or been educated for. They're being forced to accept positions that they're overqualified for at wages way below what they expected to make after all their efforts at preparing themselves through their education and through their skills training to join the labor force in America. Now, given years of growth at half the expected level and high unemployment, it's not surprising, but it's very disheartening to hear this news continue well into, in the 5th year after the recession. But rather than point fingers at or assign blame, I'm here today to seek hopefully a consensus that the Senate needs to propose, needs to debate, and support measures that will increase economic growth and provide economic opportunity for those that are seeking to join the labor force. It is time for us to start talking about maximizing opportunity. Webster's dictionary defines opportunity as, quote, a good chance for advancement or progress. And that's what American workers at all levels of skill and income deserve. But many of us have introduced our own ideas about job creation and economic growth. Earlier this year, I put forward a detailed 10-point plan that I called the Indiana Way. Based on stories and suggestions from Hoosiers, these are common sense solutions to some of our nation's biggest problems. Many of my proposals incorporate ideas that have gained bipartisan support. We're not here arguing against each other. We're here trying to find solutions and proposals to debate together, to support together, to move this country forward. The Indiana Way includes common sense proposals to reform our broken tax code, to reduce regulations that are crippling industries and businesses, to unlock American energy sources, and to support industries, industrial growth, community banks, credit unions, those who are providing the tools for investment and the tools for growth. I welcome the chance to discuss how these ideas will help Hoosiers and Americans who are struggling in this economy. And I know that many of my colleagues are also eager for the opportunity to discuss and debate real solutions to help our workforce. There are a number of proposals that have been brought to this floor by my colleagues. Senator Portman, who sits at the desk next to me, and others have put forward meaningful proposals that we ought to be debating. We shouldn't be talking about, well, nothing can get done because it's an election year, 2014. Let's put stuff out here that makes the other side look bad. We ought to set that aside and say, for the sake of the future of this country and for all of those seeking work that don't have it, let's debate the real stuff. Let's work together to pass something that will make our country stronger and our economy better. It was one of my former colleagues and friend Jack Kemp who once said, and I quote, "Our goals for this nation must be nothing less than to double the size of our economy and bring prosperity and jobs, ownership and equality of opportunity to all Americans, and especially those living in our nation's pockets of poverty, and especially those who are earnestly seeking work and simply can't find it." Today, that goal remains worthy of our time and efforts. Let's join together and have a conversation about real solutions that will make our country stronger, improve the lives of all American citizens, and build a better future for the next generation. Madam President, this should be our goal. This is the goal that should unite us, and it's a long past time for us to get serious about it and take action. Madam President, with that, I yield the floor and suggest the absence of quorum.
Clerk will